Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Trekyards. We have a very special guests with us today, actually, and I'd like them to all introduce themselves.
Hey everybody, I'm Mike McMahon. I am the creator of Star Trek Lower Decks.
Hey everybody, I'm Barry, Barry J. Kelly. I'm the supervising director of season 2 and season 3 of Star Trek Lower Decks.
I am Nolan Obana. I'm the art director for Lower Decks season 2 and season 3.
And I'm Brad Winters. I'm a producer on Lower Decks.
I guess the first question, obviously we got a new Cerritos at the beginning of season 2 with the refit, and we noticed a lot of enhancements and corrections and perhaps changes. That's kind of what sparked this whole idea for doing this second interview with you guys, or just with Mike. And he's like, I can't take all the credit. I got to bring everybody else in. So thank you for that. But yeah, tell us about the Cerritos refit and the changes between season 1 and 2.
Well, let me tell you narratively kind of why we did it, and then let me pass it to Barry and Nolan to kind of talk about design and execution of it. So narratively, the Cerritos went through a bit of turmoil at the end of season 1, and we knew it was going to be a good opportunity after it got destroyed, or at least really roughed up, not maybe fully destroyed. You know, it lost in a cell in the battle with the Packlads. And so, you know, in the end of season 1, you see the Cerritos in space dock getting repairs, and we took it as an opportunity to do a lot of stuff that you see seasonally in animated shows, which is we updated, you know, some of the CG design, we updated some of the thinking of it, some of the detail on it. We made some slight changes, but always keeping in mind what Captain Freeman had said, that she didn't want it to come out looking all sovereign class. No, yeah, sovereign class, right?
Sovereignty.
She didn't want it all sovereignty, yeah. Too reflective, too cinematic for her, too many glossy panels. With that in mind, Barry and Nolan, you guys kind of ran with it.
When Nolan came on, we had the okudas do some blueprints for us, and they helped us really because I think a lot of what happens when we're working on season 1 is that we're learning a lot of the new areas, and we're also making some we're designing interiors while we're designing exteriors, and I think not everything fits together like we think, so we're kind of trying to make stuff ambiguous as much as possible, and the okudas helped us kind of like narrow that stuff in. And based on it was awesome. They gave us like a PDF of all these notes, and we're like, oh yeah, we're missing that. But he's like, well, actually, you already have it. But if you just kind of modify this, you know, this will, you know, make the escape pods, you know, look a little bit more like they're in a practical place and things like that. Yeah, that really like honed us in. It's kind of like always good to have the okudas in their good graces. Just provide us like really, you know, legacy notes from, you know, 30 years of working on Star Trek.
Yeah, I think that was the major thing, because I think we were gonna fix some stuff in the CG, but I think when we got that PDF, it was like, you guys are missing quad thrusters. Like this is where they need to be, and then this is the kind of style. Like these would be great where, you know, for the torpedo bays. So there was a lot of that in the PDF, but he also gave us like a cutaway map. Michael Okuda also scaled the Cerritos for us within that PDF. But basically, that PDF and all his notes is what we ran with for season 2.
Well, that's one of the questions, actually. I think Sammy.
I know. I just saw the two. I saw both of these guys get excited because
we've been guessing.
Spotted the size discrepancy of the Cerritos first season. And when they asked me about it, and the first time we were together, I was like, "You should ask Brad."
You did say that, yeah.
I will say I'm the scale police, and sometimes we stuff slides by for aesthetics, but the starting place was I made Mike a profile, kind of what's behind you there, profile of all the ships, and I said, how big, we know here's the silhouette of the Cerritos. In your mind, Mike, how big is the Cerritos? And so we made this is our scale of the Cerritos in comparison, of course. I mean, you can imagine what our basis was. It was to the Enterprise D. So that's our sizing, that's our scale. And then Michael was a great partner. Like maybe the windows might not have fit that scale. And that was
have a lot of windows on that ship. A lot of windows.
And that was kind of an animation aesthetic-y choice where in our naivete, we're like, well, we can size the windows a little wonky just so you can see them. No one will get that upset about it.
We learned 2 years later. Yeah. but you know, Brad's right though, that like he's always like, Brad knows what's wrong, when I'm like, we're using that version. He's like, cool. So that's wrong. And I'm like, yeah, but we need it to look away or the episode won't play. And so he's the first one going to bed at night being like, we've done something wrong. And so you guys have to know when you catch stuff, it's not because we've missed it most of the time, although sometimes we goof, but it is in the service of, we want the Cerritos to feel small, but we also need to tell a lot of stories on it.
Well, it's the hero of the tale. Has to feel grand in its own story, even if against other ones it's
So do we have an official size, length?
Can we say that, guys?
I've put it out on Twitter before. I'm trying to. I'll look it up, but I did want to say, in that scale process, what happened when we were able to bring in the okudas. We brought them in for season 1. They gave a really great LCARS walkthrough to our design team. They came in, we showed them the first animatic, but season 2, to be clear, when we started season 2, so season 1 hadn't aired yet, but it was hey, now we know how important these things are. We've got the time in the gap between the seasons. Let's bring them in. Really, we had so many Zoom meetings about, here's how big we want the Cerritos to be. Here's what we need. Mike made a list of, spoilers if you aren't caught up, but he's like, where is Cetacean Ops? Where is it? Like, here are these locations we're going to need in season 2. And Michael was a great partner in finding, here's where it could be. Here's the logic of it. Worked with us on, let's let Mike tell the story he wants to tell, but also fit it into the Star Trek continuity. And it was also great to hear from him directly a lot of stuff that people will say, well, you did this wrong, or these break the rules. To hear from Michael Okuda, like, no, that's fine. You can do this. Where like someone on Twitter told me you can't do this. And he's like, no, we did it all the time. It's fine. We'll do that.
Hey, Barry and Nolan, there were a couple other things about the new Cerritos too. There was the illuminated docking base. You remember that? Was that new for second season? Because they look so cool.
And it looks like the force field's on, even though the door is closed. But it's also, I always feel like anytime we, like, even on our McDuff, I'm like, I think we need more stuff to glow so it doesn't feel too 3D. So like, I'm always like, anything else we can add a little glow to. The windows probably glow too much sometimes, and I'm always like, we could cut the glows in half or whatever. But anything that we can do just to give it a glow, glow is like my crutch. So I'm always like, let's just add a glow to it just so it looks more 2D and it doesn't feel too much. Right. It's always like a weird balance of like making it look, because in a realistic one, you probably wouldn't see the lights, the red and green lights. They probably just more like they're painted as opposed to glowing. But we're always trying to just, can we put a glow there? Can we spot that? Can we put a little
the overall look of the Cerritos felt like, this is me being ignorant of like all the work that went into the season 2 Cerritos versus season 1, but like it kind of looks cooler. Like just in general, like just like the look of the grays, the modeling on it, the way that the lights kind of look, or the windows, like everything on it, like I look at season 1 and I'm like, oh, that was the cute Cerritos. And then season 2 is kind of like, ooh, the grown-up Cerritos, kind of,
Well, as an outside observer, and the tile sequence was fantastic that you did a direct, replace the model, so it was very easy to compare the two. And it's a ship where it is so different, but feels so the same, and so both sides of the fence will be happy. But the plate detail, the tweaks in color, just bringing that bright yellow of the engineering division right down to a more muted gold, like other things we see, really nice refinements. And you mentioned window glow, just cutting that glow in half made them feel so much smaller, and suddenly in scale it was kind of remarkable. And you finally had torpedo launchers where I said that's where they should be. Why there's stump things here? There's torpedo launchers.
I think we're coming to our end of our time here. So I just want to say thank you guys for joining us. We really, really super appreciate it. And we're hoping to talk to you all again soon.
But seriously, you obviously Mike, show running creator, but the artists that are here, seriously, you guys done some phenomenal work. And obviously, if you've seen our content, we look at it in depth. But the fact, we hear from our fans, it's just a cartoon, it's just animated. And we say, but it isn't though. They put that hard work in. So we feel able to say, but look at those buttons aren't in the right place. And we say, but all those buttons are. That 94% is right. So seriously, again, amazing work. Sorry it's so draining, but please don't stop that level of hard work.
And I have to give a public shout out to them, an underline on all of this that I think it's lost sometimes. All from home, all on residential dial-up, all during a global pandemic. Like the show, like all of season 2 was made from home. And I don't think it feels like that. I think you look at season 1 and season 2, and I see people talking about season 2 must have had a huger budget and all this other stuff. And I'm like, it didn't. And it was actually made with a huge handicap of the pandemic we all lived through. But all these artists, our team in Canada, Barry, Nolan, done like such an incredible job at all.
And thank you guys for being such fans. And then
keep spreading the word. Just keep spreading the word.
Thank you. Thank you for being great ambassadors. We really appreciate it.